I am a bad sleeper, and we know this. So the other day, I'm on the computer. I see this little documentary from a sleep expert, and she is going to guarantee that she will put me to sleep. She has these tips. They're going to be the greatest tips ever. Guess what I did?
I don't know. What'd you do?
I sat for 45 minutes and I watched this woman talk about sleep. And I was so fucking tired that I zoned out for 99% of it. But I still didn't learn anything because I was so zoned out. I'm still no further ahead, except for I lost 45 minutes of my life.
Hey, listen, a couple weekends ago, Meg was away and I went to bed and I slept like I was in a coffin almost on my side of the bed. And I woke up in the exact same position. I just got up.
Oh my.
I just put the sheets back. The bed was made. And then she comes home the next day and I toss and turn all fucking night. I'm like, there's got to be a correlation there. There's
Oh,
got to be.
now you have me thinking.
Yeah. Remember, your wife's been pulling the sheets off your side of the bed for years.
I know. Maybe I don't have a sleeping problem. Maybe I have a wife problem.
You should see someone about your wife.
There has to be a pill for that. This is Taming the Hustle.
Or something of the sorts.
Everybody wants a piece of me. I'm a lonesome man making history. They say we're all just raindrops in a stream.
Well, Darryl, at the risk of putting you to sleep, I want to talk about employee share purchase plans today.
Ooh, nice.
Imagine if I talk like this all the time during the podcast, you would never have a sleeping problem. I guarantee you. I could talk about employee share purchase plans. I could talk about diarrhea. I could talk about anything. You wouldn't even know what the fuck I'm saying. Okay, wakey, wakey. Chop, chop.
You know what's funny about that is I closed my eyes to fake that when I didn't need to, and I got relaxed. I almost fell asleep there.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe you need to talk softly to me.
Yeah. Well, we could start a new podcast. You just have to come up with the title. Employee share purchase plans, my friend.
Yeah, tell me about it.
They're not complicated. They're not complicated at all. The consensus is people don't seem to understand them a whole lot. You would be super, super surprised when an employer is offering some benefits like this that
Yeah.
employees don't even jump on them. Like it's, for the most part, it's free money.
Yeah.
And participation rate is low, which I think is absurd. If someone offered you a $5,000 a year raise, you'd be stupid not to fucking take
Well,
it.
of course, yeah.
And in many cases, that's what the employee share purchase plan is. Like, in my opinion, there's two kind of distinct ways you can set up an employee share purchase plan if you're an employer.
Yeah, okay.
So one is, okay, you're working for Macintosh.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
That's Apple.
I was going to tell you it's Apple, but I just, you're old. It's okay. You can call it Macintosh.
Like, I'll be honest with you, like I'm still a little bit on a mission to put you to sleep. So I'm going to try to make this as uneventful as possible. Okay, so let's say you own a computer manufacturer.
Okay.
Boule Computers.
Boule Computers, they're better than Apple.
Yeah, way better. And that song, Boule Boule, that's your theme song for your radio commercials. Very much like a car salesman commercial. So you're a publicly traded company and you decide you're going to offer an employee share purchase plan for your employees. Employers set these up for a couple of things. They want their employees to believe in their product and the company that they work
100%.
for, right? So they want that type of support. And the other thing is retention. This is also a means to keep your employees interested in staying with the organization because
Oh, that
you're
makes
going
sense.
above and beyond to take care of them.
Yeah.
The first one would be offering the shares at a discount.
Okay.
And I think understanding the consequences of the two are important as well, too. So we'll talk about that. But the first one would be discounting. So let's say fair market value of your shares are $10.
Okay.
So if you discounted them 10% and said, okay, to all employees that want to participate in the employee share purchase plan can buy our shares at a 10% discount. They're worth $10 right now. You're going to buy them at $9.
Okay, that's not bad. I like it.
And often you'll set limitations as well, too, right? Because let's say, okay, I'm working for you and
Yeah.
Megan owns One Simple Girl and she's a multi-million-dollar company and she's got millions and we believe in your product. So we're going to buy up like a mountain of shares at a 10% discount knowing it's going to go up.
Gotcha.
Right? So
Yeah,
the employer
yeah.
usually sets certain limitations to say, okay, well, you can't buy more than a percentage of your salary per year, like 10% of
Yeah,
your
okay.
salary,
That makes sense.
or a number of shares. They'll be like, you
Okay.
can't buy more than 1,000 shares a year.
That's fair.
So then there's really no tax consequences at that point. So that what the government does is they don't factor in the 10% discount as a taxable benefit. What happens is if you hang on to the shares until the shares are worth $15, well, now you're going to pay a capital gains tax on the difference. So a couple acronyms here when you're reading your statements and stuff is ACB is your adjusted cost base. So that's the cost of the shares plus any administrative costs that were incurred while purchasing those shares. So your ACB is $9 for this example, and you've sold at 15. So now you have a $6 gain. And on that $6 gain, the taxation has two parts. So the discount that you receive from your employer, so the $9 to the $10, which is the difference between what you paid and the fair market value, is essentially like a recapture. So you have to pay income on that as if it were regular income. And then the difference, the $10 to $15 that you sold, is a capital gains tax. So like we've discussed in prior episodes, the inclusion rate currently in Canada for capital gains tax is 50%.
Yes.
So you'd have to pay tax on $1 for the share, and then you would have to declare 50% of the $5 gain on the sale of that share.
Yeah.
So that's where Canada Revenue Agency recovers their 10%, is you end up having to pay tax on the difference between the adjusted cost base and the fair market value on the day you sell.
Recovers, steals. It's pretty similar.
Yeah. Yeah. So you with me so far?
I'm with you.
Pretty simple.
Seems beneficial.
Yeah, you're right. Seems beneficial. No immediate tax consequences and no really out of pocket from the employer other than they're absorbing 10% of the fair market value of the shares, which is a means to attract and retain, good employees. And then the other more common that we see anyway in the mining industry in particular is an employee share purchase plan where the employer will actually gift you shares.
Okay.
So if you're contributing to the employee share purchase plan, like there's one mine in particular here in our area that I can use as an example, where they'll allow you to put 10% of your base salary, right? So with mining, you get a lot of bonus.
Yeah.
So they'll allow you to put 10% of your base salary. And the reason the employer does that is they can then budget 10% of base salary because you can't really forecast what bonuses will be.
Okay.
So then you have 10% of base salary, and then they'll match 50% of that. So as an example, you make $100,000 as a base salary, and you decide you're going to do 10% shares. So they're not giving you a discount in this case. You're buying them at fair market value.
Yeah.
You get $10,000 worth of shares for that year.
Yeah.
And then your employer will match 50%. So they give you $5,000 worth of shares.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So then the tax consequences are slightly different here, is that's considered a taxable benefit because the employer is giving you something of value.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So box 14 of your T4 for that particular year will include the $5,000 that the employer gave to you. So you're going to see in box 14, $100,000 plus your bonus plus the $5,000 shares, because that is a taxable benefit.
Gotcha.
So when you do sell, though, you've got now $15,000 worth of shares, and then you turn around and you sell them at a profit, then your adjusted cost base is the full $15,000 because it hasn't been discounted.
Okay.
So that the government doesn't double tax you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So then the benefit there for the employer is retention, right? It's a means to give a bonus to their employees, but also encourage their employees to believe and have some participation in the company.
Yeah, for sure.
Having said the free part, though, 99% of employee share purchase plans that are structured like this have like a restricted or a vested period. So you'll hear restricted and you'll hear vested, and they're interchangeable in this situation.
Okay.
So what you'll see is typically like a 2-year vesting or 2-year restricted period. Let's say the employer gives out the shares quarterly.
Okay.
And you get your 50% of your 10% of the shares in the first quarter of the year, which is the end of March. Well, then if they vest it for 2 years, then 2 years later in that March, those shares become available to you and you can't spend them any time before that.
Gotcha.
The reason for that is if you leave the employer before the 2 years is up from that last purchase of those shares, they keep them.
Which makes sense.
So they're like, you're not going to be a high producing miner or an executive of our company and get, tens of thousands of shares and then just fuck off because we've given them to you.
Yeah.
Right?
You scratch our backs, we scratch yours.
So every 2 years, your restricted shares become unrestricted, or the vested period matures and now you have access to the shares that are no longer restricted or have matured from their vesting period.
So the people who don't opt into this, is it just that they are uneducated on this, or is there some unknown fear? What do you think it is?
I've heard 3 major things, and I've observed the same 3. The first one is misunderstood. They just don't understand how it works. And like I
Gotcha.
said, like we're already through the explanation of the employer share purchase plan. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
But I think typically the employer doesn't spend a whole lot of time explaining it. And the average Joe just doesn't know much about this stuff.
Gotcha.
So the first thing I think the most common is I just don't understand them. The second is people want as much money in their pocket and they just
True.
don't see the value of forfeiting 10% of their base salary because they
Yep.
want their money in their pocket now
Exactly.
to make payment on their boat or, save for their cottage or whatever it may be. So they want more cash flow. Cash flow and liquidity is important to them. They're like, I don't want to forfeit 10% of my salary and have, that locked in for 2 years before I have access to it. But be narrow-minded of the fact that you're getting that $5,000 worth of shares. If my example.
You could be
earlier
missing
is-
out on a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. And then the third thing is they don't trust their employer. Right. So the employer is trying to gift shares to their employee for them to believe in the company and believe in their product and for loyalty and employee retention. But then the employee turns around and says, I don't want to do this. I don't trust my employer. Sometimes the problem lies at the top where you have to create a better culture and you have to take the time to explain to your staff or your employees what the employee share purchase is for and how beneficial it could be. But once they've had a conversation with us, 100% of our fucking clients sign up for the employee share purchase plan.
Nice.
Because now
Which
they
makes sense,
understand
yeah.
it. So the first piece is out the window. The second piece is, we help them understand that cash flow, first of all, you have to fucking plan and you have to live within your means. And you have to go get free money. It's free fucking money.
Exactly.
And then we can't really help with the third piece. I mean, if you really don't trust your employer and you think that they're just using you for whatever profitability or whatever your reasons are, get over it.
You know what? I think the owner of my company uses me a lot.
Yeah. You're thinking of masturbation again, aren't you?
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Oh, come on, man. Use me and abuse me, he says to my boss. All right. Well, hey, any questions, Darryl?
I don't think so.
Do you understand them now?
I think so. I understand them more than I did before.
Are you okay with the cash flow issues?
I am. I can understand where people are coming from in that sense, where it's like, I'd rather have the cash now. But if one thing you've taught me over time is that you need to look at the big picture and, a little less cash in your pocket today can mean a boatload of cash in your pocket tomorrow.
You were listening.
I was.
And the tax consequences aren't all that complicated.
No.
And if you don't trust your boss, Darryl, you're going to have a very serious talk with them. We'll be right back.
I heard that when you become an adult, boys no longer have cooties, you can have cake for breakfast, and you get a lifetime subscription to the Canada Revenue Agency, whatever that is.
Don't be late and file on time. #call René of St. Cyr & Associates.
So I talked to my boss over the break, and he said that I can't have any more ownership in the company.
Oh, yeah. You own it all.
I own it all. I tried, but whatever.
Aaron owns it all, bud. Let's be real.
It's true. So listen, today I want to dive into something somewhat similar. It's a topic often overlooked by companies, but it holds an immense potential for growth. And it's bringing in experts into your business by offering them a stake in your company.
Yes. Doesn't that go well with employee share purchase plans?
Well, it does. I thought about it over the break while talking to my boss.
Oh, yeah. Brainstorming.
But I get it. This is an unconventional approach, but it can be a game changer, especially for businesses looking to tap into an expertise that they can't afford. And we've seen this time and time again. You've started your business or you've been in it for a while or you're stuck. Either you're not growing in profits or you're losing money. And I find it funny because the solution might be marketing. It might be product development. It might be finances, whatever you're missing. So you sit there, and I've seen this before, where a small business owner sits at home and watches Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, and they think, wow, I would love to have a dragon or a shark look at my business. And I say, fuck them. Like, no offense to the dragons or the sharks, But the real life versions of those TV shows might literally be right under your nose.
Yeah, and we actually see this more often than you realize. And this is a great way to take your business to the next level, man.
Oh, 100%. I've done this. I've had a company approach me where they had this idea for a business. They started, they couldn't figure out how to get to the next step, which was marketing and getting everything out there to the public. And that was their downfall. And when they came to me, they're like, listen, we want no investment from you, except we're going to offer you a piece of the pie for your expertise as a trade off.
In exchange for what's in your brain.
Exactly. So the points here is that first you have to have access to an expert and open doors to a specialized skill and knowledge that can propel your business that you didn't have before, right? You have to find those holes. What is it that your business is missing that could take you to that next level, right? It's cost effective doing it this way because rather than paying a high salary or consulting fees up front, you're offering equity, which allows you to conserve that cash flow. Exactly what we were talking about a few minutes ago is keeping cash in your pocket, right? And it's mutually beneficial where an expert invests their skills in exchange for potential future returns. Now, who do you think is going to work harder for you? Is it going to be the consultant you hire for 10 hours a month? Or is it going to be the consultant you gave a little piece of the pie to who can make astronomical amount of dollars if they work hard?
Yeah, 100% agree. Let's remind our audience, though, that this is very great in concept, but it's also a lot of work. So be prepared.
For sure.
But it could be very much worth it. And what I mean by that is some people don't know what the weakest link in their business is.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have a really good, thorough understanding of your business and what you're trying to accomplish and how you think you're going to be able to do that. Right. So you have to find, well, what kind of expertise am I looking for?
Exactly. Some of the important factors here you need to be careful of is first defining those clear expectations, right? When you find somebody, you have to establish what that expert's role is actually going to look like and outline it to some type of realistic performance goal. Because you can't just give someone a piece of your business and say, here's a piece of my business. Now, I hope you do some work on it.
Yeah, because like you mentioned earlier, they have lots to gain and they're probably going to work harder, but they also have nothing to lose because they have no sweat in the game.
Exactly. So you have to set those realistic goals and make sure you contact a lawyer, get a good lawyer, because a lawyer can identify some of those red flags, the potential risks, the obligations that could affect the future of your business, right? So when I say that, don't cheap out on this portion. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, but it's important to be transparent and be open and honest.
Yeah, I would never entertain this type of agreement without some sort of legal contract. That would be insanity.
Exactly. And then a good expert or the right expert for your business will see the benefit and life in your business, right? But you have to be transparent. You have to tell them the whole truth. We see this on Dragon's Den all the time where people go on and they say their evaluation, they pitch their idea, and then the dragons eventually drag out what the problem of their business is and like, oh yeah. So I, whatever the case may be, is we lost $20 million last year. That's why I'm here. And they're like, why didn't you say that at the beginning? I don't want to invest in you now. You're trying to hide stuff. Don't hide anything. Be honest and open and upfront and say, here's where my business is. Here's where the problems lie. Here's why I need you. And here's where I think you could take this to a higher level. And I know people listening are saying, well, what kind of expert can really help me? Right. And like I said, you have to find the hole in your company. Maybe it's a technology consultant. Maybe it's a product development specialist, a human resource consultant. Maybe it's the legal person. Maybe, and I'm going to say this, it's the financial advisor or the marketing specialist. It doesn't matter who it is. It's that missing piece of your company that you need to fill.
You're competing with Harley Davidson and you want a custom stitch on the leather of the seat. And there's only one person on the planet that could do that.
And you can't afford his or her services.
Bring him in.
Yeah.
And also too, like just to give you a little bit of peace of mind is that you probably don't have to go grab someone and have them leave industry altogether to work just for you.
No.
If you're, a small to mid-sized company.
Exactly.
And say, listen, I'm going to need probably 10 hours a week on this or whatever. Like you say, you set certain expectations where this person's going to work on this, mornings and evenings and weekends and keep their other job until, you figure out how this is going to be working for everyone and how impactful that their involvement in your company is.
Yeah. And you don't have to give a huge piece of your pie, right? Like, I'm not saying you have to give 50% of your company. It's a negotiation. It could be a royalty on each sale, or it can be 5 or 10% of your business. Whatever seems fair.
I want 50%, Darryl.
49, René. It's only 49. That's as high as I'm going to go.
51. 51. No more than 52.
But it has to be fair. So you need to go in with an open mind. You can't ask somebody to take 1% of your business and then expect them to do 100% of the work. It just doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I know this is a marketing piece here, but it's like, if you want to grow your business, just like the strategy of marketing I talk about, you need to find the holes in your business, and you can't just market to fix those holes. Sometimes you need pieces, and you need to have an open mind, because everyone wants to own their business 100% for the rest of their lives. But if it's a difference between you closing up shop or being crazy successful, I think I'd rather have a partner in that instance.
Yeah. Or even if you stay open and you're just mediocre and you want to move to excellence.
Yeah.
Right? You want to drive revenue with a better product or something that no one else has or whatever. Branching off, and you need that expertise. Whatever the reason is, it's not a bad idea to entertain when it's fitting.
Exactly. So I'm pitching to you right now, I would like 49% of your business, René.
No more than 51.
How about 39?
No, 53.
21.
Maybe I need to bring in a financial planner to help me out, because I think I'm negotiating backwards here.
Listen, stick around. We're going to be right back.
Retirement is a lot like gambling. You try to have as much fun as possible without running out of money.
Live well today while planning to live well tomorrow. Hashtag call René, certified financial planner of St. Cyr and Associates.
I want to talk about a relationship, René.
You always want to talk about that shit.
No, I want to talk about relationships or family dynamics and how affection plays a pivotal role in fostering those connections.
Oh, good one.
It's deep, I know. But I have kids. You've experienced this before yourself, is that my kids are now teenagers, and they went from the little tiny kids who would give mom and dad a hug for no damn reason to being like, the door closes and I barely heard them say they're leaving.
Yeah. That is the reality.
Yeah.
But it hurts the parents.
It does hurt.
Oh my God. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And it's, whether it's through physical touch or verbal expressions or gestures, whatever it is, I find it's that glue, like for my family, it's that glue that binds everything together, right?
Appropriate physical touch. Let's be real.
Appropriate. Yes. Yes. My wife does touch me sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, that's not appropriate.
No, hon. Don't be doing that. It's inappropriate.
But this is something that often gets overlooked with families. And I find it's weird because my family, like I made the joke a second ago that my kids leave the house without saying goodbye. That's not true. But at the same time, when I grew up, it was always, even as a teenager, my parents come in the room at night, say goodnight, say I love you. There was a hug at the very least. And it was like, that was great. And so we do the same thing with our kids. We don't tuck them in. But when they're ready for bed, it's like we'll pop upstairs, or sometimes we're going to bed before them.
You've really piqued my interest when you said you were a teenager and at the very least you got a hug before bed. What else would fucking happen? Please do tell.
The kiss on the forehead. We're French, the double kiss on the cheek.
There may be a police investigation, or at least social services.
Yeah, but these things are important, right? Because I find if you let those things go, and you don't always have to hug or whatever, if you let those things go, your relationship starts to drift a little bit.
Oh, for sure, man.
Even if you don't see it.
I like to joke around, but I'm very affectionate, and it's very, very important to me.
Yeah.
I feel for you that you're going through that period in your life. I mean, I survived it with my daughters, and they've come around since, and it's really nice.
Oh, for sure.
Even with my wife, you know what it's like. You get kind of caught up, Erin's like fucking end of year. She's got a lot of friggin' report cards to prep, and you're busy and stressed out with work. You're just paddling through life sometimes, right?
Yeah,
you're just kind of
100%.
caught up in everything else. And there's a lack of affection there. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like like you said earlier, you just you hit it dead on when you said there's like a disconnect, like sex. Sex is great and sex is important.
Yeah.
But it can't just be that, right?
Exactly.
It's like a display of love without saying I love you. It's just and it's more impactful than the words. I don't know.
I often joke with my wife. It's a half joke, but half serious. It's like, I like to be wooed sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, I know it
fucking
sounds
right.
cheesy, but it's like,
I think that's just human nature.
yeah, like tap my butt while I'm washing dishes, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, make me feel desired for fuck's sakes.
Exactly. But, at the end of the day, it's like you have to prioritize that quality time, express that gratitude, and do those little things, right? And it's like, I know I say thank you and, sorries and stuff like that all the time, but it's showing that I have this affection for them. Actually, there was an Instagram video that I saw that I actually really, really loved. And I'm doing this now with my kids and my wife.
Don't say anything you're going to embarrass them.
Yeah.
Maybe their friends are listening.
I learned how to hug somebody better. And the whole secret is when you hug somebody, you have to go in with your left arm high and your right arm on their lower back. And the reason for this is if we both put our left arms up and we hug each other, our hearts actually touch and you can feel the beats.
Wow, cool.
And I never realized that before. And so I did it with Erin. I was like, come here, give me a hug. And she went and she does her usual 2 hands around my waist type thing. And I'm like, no. Left arm up. And my left arm went up. We hugged. And I was holding her for a second. And I'm like, can you feel our hearts? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, that makes a big difference.
Don't ever do that to me.
So I taught my kids that. And so now, when we give a hug at night, it's actually funny because like my kids will still do their weird, awkward hugs. And I'm like, no, left arm up.
I love the old tap the back hugs.
Yeah.
That creates so much fucking awkwardness when you hug a family member or something.
They just keep tapping your back.
My dad's the funniest for that. I give my dad a hug and, and that's only on occasion. It's like on his birthday, on Christmas or Happy New Year, Dad. And I give him a hug and he gives you the old tip, 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 little tap on the back because he's super awkward, keeps his bum out. Yeah, leans forward and keeps the bum as far back as possible.
Yeah.
And all that touches is like the tip of your front deltoids.
That's my kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny. Oh my God. I'm a lover, not a fighter, and I'm super
Same.
affectionate. So
my tip today is hug more. If there's one thing you can do is hug people. I know we're post-pandemic. I think we're past the fist bumps. I think we can hug again. I think it's safe. Lead with your left arm up high. The right arm, don't go below the small of the back. Don't touch bums when you're not supposed to. Erin, you can touch mine, please.
But just great little grazes, it just doesn't have to be this big fucking ordeal. Just little grazes walking by. Or there's nothing I like more than when we're crossing the street together, we're waiting for traffic, and Meg just kind of like grabs her hand and puts it under my arm and grabs my bicep and just kind of like it's just I don't know. It makes me feel like she desires me, and there's love there, right?
For sure.
I don't know. It's the little things. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
But even with our parents, man, like how much closer do you feel with your parents when you show them affection, right? Than just
100%.
Just existing together.
It's funny when my parents come there because I have a home office. So there's time when my parents come to visit and they'll come in while I'm working. And then everyone's done their hugs and stuff like that. And if I come out and they're, doing something like making a cup of tea, I'm like, hey guys. And they're like, hey. And then we move on and there's no hug. And I don't get to see that big like smile and like, oh my God. But if I'm there, or even if I interrupt them making their tea and I give her a hug, you can see all of a sudden she brightens up. And that smile brightens me up, right?
Yeah. So there's another lesson. Be present during your show of affection.
Yes.
Instead of it being routine, just be there.
That's it. I just wanted to bring attention to affection.
Wow.
I know.
You're super deep today, man. I'm not afraid of being affectionate with you, but I'm really not certain I want to feel your heartbeat. Just fucking saying.
It sounds like this. René.
Yeah, bullshit.
Listen, thanks for joining us. This was a great episode.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we learned something.
We turned some average topics into some super interesting ones, I think.
That's what my mom said about me. You were just an average guy who turned interesting one day.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.